some key issues, key agendas for innovation of Asian countries. I'd like to deliver 10 observations or messages in my presentation. My first observation is going to be the aim of my presentation, the need for stage approach to promote innovation and entrepreneurship. To promote innovation and entrepreneurship, we need to follow some stages of the development, depending on the situation and stages. We need different strategies, efforts, and approaches and government policies. I think Korea has been very successful in these transitions, even though we have many challenges to overcome. For example, Korea, when we start industrialization, we had a very wonderful 5-year economic and social development plan. Of course, execution is more important than plan. But from the 1962, we prepared a 5-year plan. Then maybe in 1960s, we have first and second economic plan. We focused on the promoting light industry, and then in our third and fourth economic plan, we focused on the heavy industry promotion. And then at this time, the R&D activity was very poor. We emphasized the industrial development. But through the industrial development, we learned, we accumulated some technology. And then from the fifth economic development plan here, now as you hear, the Korean government promoted a large-scale R&D project, and also many private sector established the R&D laboratory, and from this time on, the technology development has led economic development. Before that time, the economic development has led the technical development. But since the 1980s, the R&D has been playing a critical role in the development of economies and society in Korea. Okay, in this way, maybe we need some stage approach depending on the situation of the company. Of course, in some cases, we can use several strategies together. I will explain later. But anyway, maybe based on the situation, we should identify what should be done, the issues and the challenges for each stage. And then by overcoming the issues at that stage, then we can move on to the next stage. The issue is how to accelerate the progress of the development. So, my first observation is being such a stage approach. And then, how was the Korean approach to innovation? As you know, there is very famous innovation model. This is a linear model. The innovation follows the stage of research, basic research, applied research, and development. This is a very famous traditional model. Also, many developed countries follow this stages. But in Korea, we didn't follow the linear model of innovation. We started from development, not from basic research. We started from the development, and then after accumulating some knowledge, we moved to the applied research. And then to become the frontier, we really need the basic research. Then now we move to the basic research in that way. So we follow the reverse direction of the innovation model compared to developed countries. So that is one of the very typical approach in Korea. And then we had a very high goal setting. Even though our development stage is very poor, we set the goal based on market need rather than relying on the current constraint. So this kind of very high goal setting, led us the very successful innovation and also risk taking. And then finally, I think Korea is one of the great learner. We learned a lot from the Western country, especially from the United States and Japan. So you mentioned the creative imitation. So this kind of active learning is one of the very key feature in the innovation pattern in Korea. Also, maybe the most important issue will be how to cultivate motivated manpower. I think Korea is one of the countries with a strong influence of Confucianism. In Confucian society, they respect the scholars and learning and education. Even though he's very poor, he put all kinds of his resources to educate his children. So with this kind of social culture, even though at the beginning, in 5 years back, even though the national status very poor, but all the parents put all kinds of resources to education of the children. So through this process, you are very successful in cultivating our caliber manpower. So I think this is one of the very important Korean approach. This is second observation. Now we can say that I think in the morning, Professor Prof already mentioned fast follow and fast break. Up to now, Korea is very successful in catching up or fast follow. So we call it as a fast follow. So we follow the leader. In that case, we do not, it is very easy. It is not necessary to make, to set the goal. We know the goal objective already. We just follow the leader. We just follow the front runner. So it is very simple. We know how to do. We know what to do. But only the issue is how to do. So by creative imitation, learning, we follow the leader. But now we are in critical stage. We are at crossroads. Now we move to the next stage. So we should move to post-catch-up. So we need really innovation, radical innovation, or disruptive innovation. So that is the current situation of Korea. Yeah, two different. And then, how can you make that kind of change, that kind of transformation? I think my third observation is regarding the disruptive innovation. The S-curve innovation model is very famous, proposed by Prasetiya. We have two kinds of innovation paths. One is just like this one, sustaining innovation. Sustaining innovation means the innovation follows the existing technology and improving them, based on same technical paradigm or technical knowledge. So in that case, if the company has developed a product for 20 years, maybe it will be very difficult for the newcomer to overcome or overtake the front runner, because we are using the same paradigm. It is very easy and very difficult to take over. Of course, we can reduce the gap, but it is not easy. So there can be another approach for innovation. That is disruptive innovation. Disruptive innovation is based on quite different kind of paradigm. So at the beginning, maybe the performance of the new disruptive innovation may be inferior to that of sustaining innovation. So at the beginning, that kind of new approach was neglected by existing companies. But majority of them will fail. But some of the successful innovation just take over the existing sustaining innovation. Because according to innovation model, there can be the natural limit. Even though technology is quite good, maybe there's some limit for the development. So that is another approach. So if we do, we should take both approach. In some cases, if we are behind, we should follow the leader. Yeah, that is the first approach. But in addition to this, in some area, we need a different approach, so-called disruptive innovation. So one of the examples will be the Samsung. If we look at 1985, that is the major product of Samsung Electronics. Color TV, telephone switching system, black and white TV. All of these are analog electronics. But and then after 20 years later, the year 2005, major products changed into the handheld phone, memory, LCD monitor, etc. All of these are digital products. So if we look at this one, that is the curve of the analog TV, that is the curve of the digital TV. In case of analog TV, as you know, Sony was a leader. So if the Samsung has followed the Sony, they cannot become the leader in TV. But they changed the new paradigm, they changed the trajectory from the analog TV to digital TV at this time. But it is not based on their own decision. At that time, we had IMF of Asian financial crisis. So with that kind of difficulty, we should have something new. So the environment forced Samsung to make a new challenge. So at that time, the digital technology has been developed, and then that is going to industrialize. So, but the leading companies, very difficult to change into new technologies because it's very uncertain. Also, they are leading in this company. So, personally also, the pioneer, the people, the managers here are really the key person in developing this technology. So they are attached to existing technology. It is very difficult for them to change into new one. So the second, third, the follow can make that kind of big decision. We can take this one. Okay, that is another approach. So we have two different approach for innovations. So now in Korea, we are challenged to have this kind of disruptive innovation. And then, but innovation, as we agree, it is not easy. It's very complex. There should be some motivate. Something should be done. There should be some stimulus for innovation. What are the stimulus or the triggers for innovation? What drives innovation? Based on my observation, I could find the four sources or triggers for innovation. The first one will be the sense of crisis. Innovation is uncertain, so the people, without any crisis, the people do not want to make innovation. But when crisis comes, if not, we can be fair. So we should take innovation. So it is important to make that kind of atmosphere of crisis, and also everybody should share the crisis. So that is the reason many companies are doing the crisis construction intentionally. Okay, for example, the vision, this is our goal, we should go there. This is crisis. So by promoting crisis, we can make very innovative atmosphere. That is one. Also, the people feel the performance gap. That was our intended goal, but we achieved that kind of level. So if we find that kind of performance gap, the people should do something new, so innovation can happen. That is one trigger. So in Korea, for example, Korean War, that is very tragedy. But to the Korean War, that destroyed not just the building, but destroyed all kinds of social, the hierarchy, some obstacle for innovation, everything was diminished. So we are at the front, there's nothing. So we can just go. There's no obstacle there. So this, it depends on how we look at the situation. So if we look in that case, we don't have any kind of obstacle, we can just go by the leadership of the leaders. Okay, that is the one thing, the crisis make innovation. The second one, maybe we need some tools. So emergence of the alternative is very important. For example, utilization of the internet, utilization of advanced country, etc. We discussed about innovative use. Anyway, we can adopt a new technology, and based on the technology, we can make innovation. For example, in banking industry, there are greater, benefit, of the internet technology, etc. So, for example, this one, active technology adoption from developed country, that is another source of innovation. And then the third one should be, maybe we discuss with vision and passion, the strategic intent. We should have a strong willingness to be a some level. Is it just like obsession? We have to do. That kind of obsession is very, very important driving process, especially if you lead that kind of strategic intent. For example, the development of the POSCO and Samsung Electronics, all kinds of development can be explained by strategic intent. So that kind of passion intent is very important. The last one, but not the least, experience of success. It is not easy to maintain that kind of pressure for a long time. Of course, we can make one event, very innovative event, but it is not easy to continue that kind of innovation through the, for example, 50 years or 60 years. So the important thing is the people should experience success, minus even the small success. Okay, we have a 5-year plan. After first 5-year plan, we had that kind of very high goal. We are doubtful about the performance. But after 5 years, we achieve all the objectives. Then the people, they can experience success and they can be very competent. They can make great motivation. So please give the people to experience some success. And that was very important. The 5-year plan has played a critical role in that way. So that is my fourth observation in Korean approach in innovation. And then I just want to move to the entrepreneurship. There are many ways, many definitions of entrepreneurship, but I would like to focus on this kind of 5 characteristics of the entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship is not just a way of thinking. It is a way of thinking and acting. This is more action-oriented. Just commit something. Okay, not just thinking. This is committing something. Just do first. That is entrepreneurship. And then this entrepreneurship is creating value by creating something new. For example, creating new company, creating new business, creating new academic program, creating new something. Okay. For example, for me as an academician, I have I've made many new academic programs. So I think I'm an academic entrepreneur, not only the company. Anyway, making something new. So we can have 2 different approaches. One is to develop, the modifying existing one, developing existing one. Another way is creating something new. So entrepreneurship is linked with more creating something new, something, any kind of thing. That is innovation. And then that is opportunity first. We should consider opportunity first, regardless of the resource. But in general, especially in large corporation, we think resource first. What is our strength and weakness? Then we try to identify opportunity based on our resources. It is not entrepreneurial approach. Entrepreneurial approach do not consider resource first. They consider opportunity first. What is the opportunity? And then we, after identifying opportunity, then we try to marshal, the acquiring resources by outsourcing or by collaborating or by, the reduce the waste anyway. And that is entrepreneurial approach. So if we look at Korean approach, we had 2 waves of the entrepreneurship. At the beginning, the first generation was in 1962 when we started industrialization. At that time, some large corporations like Samsung, LG, POSCO, they are really entrepreneurial. So we can see the high entrepreneurship in their stages. Of course, the government helps a lot. So we have, this is first wave of the entrepreneurship. Large companies did very well in this stage. And then, after certain 40 years, when we had a financial crisis, then the large corporation should make some restructuring. So many people was laid off from large corporation, from Samsung and LG. But they are very well trained. And then they created a new company. I think this is very similar to what is happening in the Finland after collapse of the Nokia. Many high-tech companies was spent up from the Nokia. Just like that. At that time, during the financial crisis, many excellent people laid off from the large corporation, created their own company. It has made the second wave of entrepreneurship. The first wave of entrepreneurship was based on the large corporation. The second wave of entrepreneurship boom was by the high-tech small companies. So we experienced both type of entrepreneurship. So that is process. At the beginning, large corporation led the economic development, but we faced with the challenges. For example, financial reform during the Asian financial crisis. It was, we can call the blessing disguised. It is great challenge. Also, we have suffered a lot of difficulties, but during that process, especially large corporation made a lot of efforts, for example, in governance, many issues. They structured the company, and then based on that effort, they can maintain the very high rate of growth in the year 2000. Also, it led to the creation of new high-tech small companies. And then, I just want to move to entrepreneurship in Korea, especially changes and then changes in the environment related to the entrepreneurship. As I mentioned earlier, on the midst of the entrepreneurial development in Korea, the creative destruction explained the situation very well. The Korean Asian financial crisis, that was yearly. In fact, that was some tragedy, or it's not so good. But anyway, the important thing is how to react to that kind of challenges. So the Korean people has made this kind of option into the new opportunity. So also, as I mentioned, the strong government initiative. This is also linked with the capability of the government officials. As I mentioned earlier, the Korean people respect the academicians and scholars. Also, they respect the government officials. So at the early stage of industrial development, the majority of the very excellent people has become government officials through the higher level government generation. So the top people has become government officials at the early stage of development, and then involved in planning, execution of the whole program. And then this one, and also as I mentioned, learning, and this one. So now, we have developed through the large corporation and then through the development of a small, medium-sized company. But now, what should be the third? I think now we should move to the construction of the habitat, just like Silicon Valley. So this is the general description of Silicon Valley habitat. Silicon Valley is based on this kind of 8 key factors that make the Silicon Valley more productive and successful. If you look at, I will not explain in detail, but the Korean company or Korean government has made a change based on the development stage. For example, the year 1981 to the 1985, at this stage, this infant stage, but during this time, during the economic crisis, the government created many business incubators, and also we legislated some promotion laws, and also many service companies created to support venture. So, based on the stage, the government created something new, and also some infrastructure has made. So you can see some changes along the stage of development. So I'm not saying that this is the unique way, but anyway, depending on the situation of each country, they should have staged the development for each stage. We should clarify what should be solved at this stage, and then what should be next. Yeah, I think that is one of the lessons in Korea. And then I just want to move to suggest some key issues for Asian countries, especially to promote innovation and entrepreneurship. To summary, I think that the innovation in Korea, as I already Professor Prof mentioned, Korean companies shifting approach from fast forward to great innovation. So of course, we still have some discussion regarding this one. For example, one participant made a question regarding the Samsung and Apple. So many people, Samsung cannot be the Apple, or Apple cannot be Samsung. They have their own strategy. But anyway, maybe they should add some new things. But the Samsung cannot be exactly the same company with the Apple. They have their own strategy. But anyway, maybe there can be many ways for creation. But we are moving to create an innovator. But one of the byproducts is bipolarization of R&D between large corporations and small and medium-sized companies. The large corporations grow very fast, growing very well. For example, one of the Korean crises is if there's something happens in Samsung Electronics, just like Nokia in Finland, maybe it will cause national crisis. So we are depending on some few large company too much. So how to rectify that kind of situation? But it is not easy. So currently we are talking about the collaboration between large corporations and small companies based on win-win collaboration. That is one of the situations. And also, I think it is very important. We need a strategic approach. It is better to select some specific area and put available resources into them. And then after making this one, and they can, other sector can follow this one, rather than easily distribute the limited resource into several areas. And this one. And maybe the open innovation is a new buzzword, but the phenomena was, very well known. Korea is one of the great examples of the open innovation. We do not, rely on our own technology. We adopt many technology from outside. So that can be one of the great benefits of the follow. So also we should maximize utilization of outside technology. Yeah. And then I want to explain what was the key success factor in entrepreneurship in Korea. I already mentioned creative disruption and adaptability will be the first number one factors to promote entrepreneurship. With this kind of crisis, Korean people has become more entrepreneurial people. Without this kind of stimulus, it is very difficult for us to become more entrepreneurial. I think entrepreneurship is not the natural phenomenon. They should have some stimulus, and then we should move it into the more productive energy. And this was the first one. And also, as I mentioned, think manpower. Okay, but government cannot make all the kind of manpower. I think in Korea, parents did it. Government did just little things. All the parents made that kind of big achievement. Anyway, manpower. Of course, we can educate the people in foreign countries. Anyway, cultivating the manpower is really important. There's no other way, except manpower. Anyway, we need manpower. And that is the second. And then it is very important. I think it was very important in Korea. Existence of the role model. Okay, especially KAIST was one of the important source of the high-tech entrepreneurs. My university, KAIST, is very famous for practical education. So the students are involved in many research projects with the companies. So after graduating, the PhD program, many of them created a new company. But just my friend created a new company. They made a big success. They listed on the Costa like NASDAQ, and they become very rich. Then why not me? Okay, many other friends also can try. We had a role model. Okay, he made big success. I can follow them. So we need one role model, one front runner. That is the same, for example, in Korea. The ladies golf, Korean lady golfers are very strong in competition. That there's one golf, and she made big success. Then many people just follow just one. It isn't happening. If we make one hero, then many people follow him. So it is very important at the beginning to make a hero at the beginning, the role model. So the existence of role model is very important for the promotion of entrepreneurship and the capital accumulation in government policy. And also, finally, one of the most important things will be the dynamics of the private sector. And the government can make some activities at the beginning, but finally, private sector should do. Okay, the government now has changed to just facilitate, not just the promote. Okay, that was the very important success factor. But as I mentioned earlier, recently during last 7-8 years, we are at a very downturn in entrepreneurship. So what was the challenging factors? For example, still we have lack of entrepreneurial team. At the beginning, we had many manpower, laid off from large corporations. But now, we are really lacking of the entrepreneurial team people, and also the decreasing new business opportunities. Okay? And then the lack of action mechanism. I think the new venture creation can be very active when we have exit mechanism. We should have the way to make money. Without to make money, trying something new is not easy one. So, for example, M&A and the stock market and the fear to risk taking. And also now, as I mentioned, there are bipolarization in Korean society, large population, small community, poor people, rich people. So due to this one, there are some anti-cooperation mentality, and also we have very serious labor union program. That also cause the challenges. Okay. Also now we need university role should be strengthened. These are challenges for us. And then for innovation, innovative Asia, I think that these things, as I mentioned, R&D professional, R&D professional, they should be first issue to be solved. And then, in some specific area, we should have confidence. And then also, R&D project, and also, we really need the globalization in R&D. And as I discussed earlier, how to protect the technology, proprietary technology, and also how to make such a productive R&D culture. These are all issues should be tackled. And then for entrepreneurial Asia, at the beginning, we cannot just follow the Silicon Valley model. They have a long accumulation of something. But without that kind of things, we cannot just follow. I think the Silicon Valley model is successful only in Silicon Valley. So we can learn some ideas from them, but we should have our own models. So maybe at the beginning, government should play a critical role in promoting this one, and then to cultivate entrepreneurial opportunity, and then these are some issues to be discussed. And finally, this is the summary of my presentation. So as I mentioned, maybe stage approach, 5-year plan, any kind of plan will be very important, but more importantly, maybe the execution is more important. We should have clear, the criteria to check the performance. And maybe we need some preconditions of innovation. As I mentioned earlier, the sense of crisis, new alternative, strategic intent, and experience of success. And we can follow some different directions. There are many ways to make innovation. Reverse direction, reverse innovation can be another approach for us. And then we start from imitation, but we move to the innovation. Also, as a follow, we can maximize use of all kinds of sources. We can learn from outside and maximize, and then make the synthesize to make it our own situation. Okay, thank you very much.